Hi, I'm Jackie Malloy from Meaningful Aging Australia. Welcome to the first all-access webinar of 2024. How's that? Before we do anything, let's acknowledge the First Nations people. The lands on which we come to you today is the land of the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. If you'd like, you can put in the chat the lands that you are on today. We would like to pay our respect and deep gratitude for elders past, present, and emerging, and the abiding spirituality of our First Nations people. The love, the respect, the traditions, the honor of the land, the waters, the animals, deeply held, and we are very grateful. Today's session is with Beate Steller, one of our very good friends. Beate has a book, and it's Meditation for Older People. And it's based on her experience working in aged care with older people and with those staff who can set up meditation groups for older people. It's a fascinating area and one that is very rewarding. I'm sure we're going to hear more about that from Beate. Beate, welcome. Thank you for your patience and for being here today.
Thank you so much, Jackie. And apologies to everyone for that terrible wait. We were ready here to start a long time ago. So thank you for your great understanding. And so I like to also acknowledge the place where I'm standing on Dharawal country on the south of Sydney. As a migrant, being very grateful to be standing on this sacred land of the First Nation people. Let me share my screen. And you will also get, if that's okay, Jackie, and you a copy of the slides if you're interested. As I said, I also like to acknowledge this is a non-for-profit project, so I don't make any money out of it. And my hope is that it goes out to as many people as possible. And when you do attend the training that Meaningful Aging is running later in the month, next month, you'll get the PDF copy of the book, or you can buy a book online with Amazon. Just to say, my hope for you is that you will, in this little short section, you'll get a bit of a taster of my experience that I've had working with older people in this space of really having a group that uses contemplative meditation practices or mindfulness meditation practices as a way to help them grow in their spiritual needs. And I'd like to especially thank the residents from NAGL and Southern Cross Care who I've been working with for the last 7 years. I'm going to give you a tiny little introduction to the research. I did my master's research on this work. I'm going to play you a little story of an interview and walk you through the book, the guidebook, and I'm going to actually get you to experience some of the little exercise, some activities. So it is experiential for you, and hopefully you get something meaningful out of it. But very important to start off with, I want to say in terms of definition, in terms of spirituality, this is from the National Guidelines for Spiritual Care. Spirituality is integral to, but not confined by, religion and faith. And it's about what gives us a purpose to our lives. It's about our sources of meaning and hope, which of course in turn is intimately related to our connectedness to ourselves, to others, and into the world. And certainly when the outcome of the research very much validated this definition, what the residents found would help them grow in their spiritual needs. So in 2015, I had to think about doing a research into with my Masters of Aging Pastoral Studies, and I was running a meditation group. So I wanted this study to look at a qualitative research where 13 residents attended a group that I developed. I interviewed them before, and at the end of the group, finding out what would help them to enhance their spiritual growth and well-being. So the essence on the aim of the study was to inquire if the group promotes actually positive spiritual growth in older people, and if so, how. Okay. And the other thing I wanted to really make a point of saying is that it's an inclusive program. So I draw on mindfulness practice, starting like with John Kabat-Zinn's work, as well as looking at all the different religious groups in the contemplative spirit, whether it's a Christian meditation or any sort of meditation practices. in the area that I work in with the elders that I work with, they happen to be from a very Anglo-Catholic background. So that was the group I had to sort of modify my work around. So in the group that I developed, I have an element which has input and reflection time, a period of silent meditation, structured group prayer, time for sharing, and practicing gratitude with a mindful hand massage. And as I said, the study was going to look at exploring which element of the group would be meaningful to people. And what came out of the study was, I typed up all the interviews, is that the themes that emerged, 4 themes that people said that for them to grow in their well-being, spiritual growth, they needed to be meaningfully connected and share with others. And they need to be able to have provided a supportive and reflective space, and having a safe space was really important. Practicing mindfulness meditation and practicing and expressing gratitude. All of these elements would help them on their growth. And I was able to have the research published in the Journal of Religion and Spirituality and Aging. And in the journal article, there's a lot of the words of what the residents, the elders said, which was very important, because I promised them that if I had it published, their words would be heard all around the world. And that was very important for them, as a sense of that they would make a difference in informing what older people need in this space, because we don't have hardly any research coming out, like actually a concrete research from within the aged care. We talk about it, but not actually qualitative research. So in terms of meaning for connecting, sharing, one lady, Dot, she was 95 at the time, she said, being in a facility with a program is interesting in itself, that we have an activity officer, but I need the spiritual stimulation. I love to participate with others, and it's an encouragement for me personally to express myself. I believe I'm a spiritual being apart from being a physical being. So I need to keep that in mind and cherish it and stimulate it with others. So I remember when she said that, I thought, wow, she was able to really express her needs, her spiritual needs. This lady came from a Quaker background and really valued also silence. I'm going to play you a little bit of an interview from one of the participants. She actually had came from a religious community, and she had, was very had been a physio with a PhD, very learned woman, and she knew that this research, whatever she would say, would have an impact. So she really rose to it, which was really wonderful. So this is about her drawing on her inner resources for aging well-being. And before I play it, I want you to listen to what she identifies as key challenges and some of the issues.
Vianney,
somebody's ringing you.
No, I'm recording now.
Oh.
I'm recording it because you were answering this question about, which is about number 6. How do you see the role of having a quiet and reflective space in aged care? You said very important. Can you tell you a little bit more about that?
For the experience that I've had in preparing people for ageing, the most important aspect of it, I feel, is helping people to be aware of their own inner resources and to have confidence to draw on them. I see people coming in here, come from another area, and they're walking around with sad faces for months before they settle down, because they've never learnt to be on their own. So I think it's extremely important.
Look, that's great. Can I also go back to question number 2? You said it's very important, the meditation for your spiritual growth. Can you expand on that? Why is it so important to have meditation for your spiritual growth?
I find it important because it's part of my daily prayer, and at this stage of my life I can't do a lot of the kind of prayer that I was perhaps used to or that we had in community, but having a period of quiet mindfulness in the structure of my prayer that includes reading and reflection on the scriptures and perhaps another component of prayer, which at the moment is some poetry. The mindfulness is part of that overall bouquet.
Oh, that's beautifully
Thank
said.
you.
The flowers.
So I invite you to just type in the chat anything that stood out, what she said. And just because we've got very little time for it, but just to really emphasize that the mindfulness is the overall bouquet, whether it's mindfully reading poetry or watching, the flowers on her balcony or whatever, but it's the overall quality that holds it all together. So today, of course, mindfulness, in fact, it's the most popular catchword in terms of mental health well-being, and the research is just massive in this. It's just exploded. But can I tell you, there's no research. I found, this is a few years ago, 2 years or 3 years ago, no research actually for frail older people. It goes up to the 60, 65, but nothing further beyond that. But, it's a form of meditation. Of course, we know that now is used effectively in a secular space. We know it's of great benefit for one's well-being and mental health. And, one of the key, the 101s in mindfulness is that whole acronym of stopping and being in the moment, being in the present moment. And that's one of the things we cover, like first thing in the meditation course. So let's just do that now. And even if you just take the stop with you after the 30-minute session here, it's a really important one for us all. So stop stands for stop what you're doing, taking a deep breath in and out, observing body, mind, and emotions, and then proceeding. So I'll play this wherever you are. Just have your feet touching the ground, sit comfortable, and as we stop and I play the sound of this bell. And as we stop, we take in a deep breath in, inhale, and exhale slowly and completely, and just breathing in and out. And O is for observing, is for watching a body, just like with your doing a little body scan, starting at your feet, going through your body and noticing any sensation, just observing, noticing your mind, any thoughts that are arising, just watching, maybe any feelings that are maybe around your chest, just noticing and making space for them. And another deep breath in, and P is for proceed. And just at stop, I say to the residents, the elders, before you get up from the chair onto your walker, before you, answer the phone, or before you something, just to stop. And it's really a way of gathering yourself as a way to bring us into the moment. Is one of the first steps in this process. And here there's lots of things we can do to bring us into this mindful process here, lady. Can knitting be a form of reflective practice? This lady is knitting for children who need them, and we have another lady in our aged care home. She was part of the research. She knits a cardigan a week, and every stitch she makes, she says it helps her to be focused. For other people, it might be fishing, it might be walking, it might be listening out for sounds or birds or whatever, but it's a way of being focused. And when you validate it through this group, they get quite excited, because they find that's what they can do at this stage. When they used to be busy running around doing things, now things have slowed down. They're noticing this whole thing of stopping and being more mindful. So there's a significance of having universal elements in this group that invite spirituality beyond faith and religion. So we start with an inclusive understanding of spirituality and find out what is actually meaningful to the older people. Emphasis that we're all talking about a God or a higher power of our own meaning, or other meaning-making frameworks. So we all have, of course, different experiences of what that looks like. And often we have, for example, I ran a group yesterday and we had a new lady join. So not knowing a lot about her, I made very clear that, in this process, she felt it was open and inviting for whatever people's background and story is. As you know, mindfulness practice is a contemplative approach, and all the key 5 religions of the world have a contemplative approach. We know that in Buddhism, Hinduism, Judaism, and Christianity, and Islam, there is this, contemplative approach. And people often want to know that, because sometimes they think, oh, is this a little bit odd? Is this okay enough? And when I was a bit reluctant to do any meditation group in aged care, because I thought, that we have rosary groups and that's what's important to them, and they still have them. They said to me, no, look, we were in the prime of our life in the 60s, and of course we know all about meditation, and so they weren't at all it wasn't a new thing to them at all. They're quite familiar actually with this practice. So in terms of practice in mindfulness, its benefits, in much research has been shown that practicing, of course, mindfulness meditation has benefits for people's health, coping strategies, sense of well-being, and their mental health. Regarding the extensive literature, of course, it's, it has all these mental, emotional, mental, and physical health for well-being. But as I said, it's no less true for older people. We tend to sort of don't take the research till they're 90 plus years of age, or the frail age. And older people also need quiet times. We do a lot of active aging activities. That's all it seems to be about in residential aged care. But we need quiet times which include solitude and meditation, as many elders become more and more selective about who they actually spend time with, and becoming less interested in superficial relationships, and tending to show more interest in solitude, which can become a significant feature of older people's mental health. So, of course, Elizabeth McKinley talks about spiritual reminiscing at this stage of life, which is, of course, all about that meaning making. And in terms of the book, there is 4 sections. The bit back of the research in terms of the benefits of mindfulness meditation, then how to set up a meditation group, because it is I've run groups for decades in my life with other different people from different walks of life, but it's very, very different in aged care and much more complex, very complex. And just to get people to a group can be a major operation sometimes. So we, to be really clear, and the listening, the hearing, the not being able to see, and all those things are very critical. And then the 6-week program itself, and the idea is the 6-week program is basically a starting point, and then you use the structure of the group, but you add all sorts of different things that are relevant for the people in the group yourself. And then there's some other resources and materials. Just a quick outline of the 6-week program. First session is on what is actually mindfulness and how do we meditate, and I'll go back to that in a minute. And that every week has a summary. It's written so it's very easy to follow as a training manual, really. The week 2 is the importance of breathing and practicing it well. And I have little YouTube clips in between as well, which I use in the training, and poetry. Week 3 is staying connected, mindful observation in daily life. So we do this activity holding a stone and making people where they're holding millions of years in their hand and connecting. And these are Shirley's hands, and they're also her hands on the cover of the book. They love doing that activity. Then week 4 is connecting mind and body, and being actually at home in yourself. How do we learn to do that more? And it's very much when everything else around us seems to be disappearing in our lives, and we really left in our bed by ourselves. And I'm in our facility lately. We've had quite a few people actually at the end of life and who've died. They found that meditation, is putting your hand on your heart and your chest and breathing and focusing and saying your prayer word or your mantra can really help them to be at home themselves and to settle themselves, which is very, very important. Week 5 is drawing on the Indigenous Australian tradition of the Dadidi, which is an inner deep listening concept from Miriam Rose Ungama-Bauman from the Northern Territory. And she's actually the Australian Senior of the Year. She was Australian Senior of the Year in 2021. And there's a little video about her. And the people really love actually another elderly person and from the Indigenous, First Nation background, talking about experience, how important it is to draw on the natural world to connect. And then week 6 is embracing gratitude and living with a grateful heart. So it's that trying to really explain why, when there's a lot of change and loss in life, we need to also hold it with gratitude on the other hand. So that's the other hand of grief. There's a few poems about that as well. So that's just a little bit of an overview of the 6 weeks. This is Dulcie meditating, a lovely lady. She died now a couple of years ago, but was a very regular meditator in our group. So I'm going to just give you a little bit of a taste of the first week, which is what is mindfulness and how do we meditate. And here I tell them a story of the elephant who couldn't keep her trunk swinging from side to side. So what we do usually is I usually bring, often one resident will have a little elephant statue in their room. I bring an elephant usually along, and the table that I have at the center of our group, and there will always be a story. Oh, when I went in Sydney to Taronga, there was this elephant, or someone will always have an elephant story, which is always lovely. And then I use that as a sort of segue to talk about why we use the symbolism of the elephant, and with the trunk, how to stop her from the elephant, from her trunk swinging from side to side. So I read them this story, and hang on, here it is. So this is straight from the book. And so as I'll share with you this little story. This story comes from India. The author is unknown, and it's a lovely story that helps us to understand the purpose of using a mantra or a prayer word to keep our mind focused while we meditate. So every day, a young elephant moved through a little village to get to the other side where her family resided. And every day a great drama unfolded. As she walked, this elephant would throw her trunk from side to side. So I really act out this thing of this trunk moving from side to side, causing havoc and chaos everywhere she went. The trunk would throw over the neatly stacked bricks, rip down the washing clothes on the lines, and send things flying everywhere she went. So the villagers dreaded the elephant coming through each day and causing such damage. So they needed a plan. So one day, as soon as the elephant arrived at the village, they put a stick, and I usually just have a stick or something here, a little stick, and they put it in the trunks, at the end, and to hold the stick, okay, and in a trunk, and told her that this stick had to be carried from one side of the village to the other side. So eager to please, this little elephant held onto the stick with a focus and attention. She did not want to drop it. So she'd been trained to carry things, and she knew that would be a nice reward, such as a banana, after she had completed the work. So this day, the elephant's trunk remained steady and centered, and nothing was bumped down, ripped, or knocked down as she walked through the village. The little elephant had learned how to keep her trunk in control. And the villagers were amazed and delighted that they all had learned that the elephant had simply needed to focus to help her keep her trunk still and not wildly swinging from side to side. So peace and calm had returned to the village. In meditation, we use a prayer word or a mantra to keep our mind focused. The prayer word is like the elephant's stick to keep her trunk calm and still. So that sort of introduces the whole idea why we would be using a prayer word or a mantra. And also gives us a chance to then say, in Christian meditation, we use Maranatha, the Aramaic word, come Lord Jesus. However, it doesn't matter what word you can use, thank you, peace, or come, whatever word you use. The most important thing is you use the same word again and again. You can't switch and change it, because the idea is for it to be an anchor to help our mind, which goes all over the place, to help it to stay focused. And then they will often talk about, how often their mind is all over the place. Their body is here, but in their mind, they're somewhere else. That's that. And there's lots of little stories and examples like that try to explain why we do the things we do in meditation. Then I just thought I'd give you also a last little example of the the week 5, which is on the Indigenous spirituality, and I show them usually the video about Miriam Rose and how she was the Australian Senior of the Year. Unfortunately, I won't show that to you now, because we would need a little bit more time. But in Dadidi, we recognize that the deep spring that is inside us, these are her words, we call on it and it calls on us. It's the gift that Australia is thirsting for. It's something like that that you call contemplation. So when I experience Dadidi, I'm made whole again. I can sit on the riverbank or walk through the trees. Hang on, I can't see this word. Even if someone close to me has passed away, I can find my peace in this still silent awareness. There's no need for words. And I'm going to show you, this just takes a minute. And some of you are familiar with it already, but just for yourself, a lot of you might be in your lunch break. I just invite you to allow her words to wash over you and to refresh you with the spirit of Dadidi.
To know me is to breathe with me. To breathe with me is to listen deeply. To listen deeply is to connect. It's a sound, the sound of deep calling to deep. Dadidi, the deep inner spring inside us. We call on it, and it calls on us. We are river people. We cannot hurry the river. We need to move with the current and understand its ways. We wait for the rain to fill our rivers and water our thirsty earth. We watch our bush foods and wait for them to open before we gather them. We wait for our young people as they grow. The time for rebirth is now. If our culture is alive and strong and respected, it will grow. It will not die, and our spirit will not die. I believe that the spirit of Dadidi that we have to offer will blossom and grow. Not just within ourselves, but in our whole nation.
Well, I'm sure you're familiar with her work, and if not, she's just beautiful, and people really can relate, and respond, and bringing the natural world into this space is very important. I'm going to invite you after the session, if you have time, or this evening, for a period of silent meditation. We've just meditated 5 to 10 minutes in our little group. Just so in the book, it gives you options in terms of the prayer. This is from the Christian meditation work. They have an interfaith group as well, the Christian Meditation Network. So it's trying to use more broader, inclusive language. And really, as long as you have a way to open and close the meditation, it's very, very important. It gives you instruction on how to meditate, and which you can look at afterwards. And then the last part of the group is practicing a gratitude with a mindful hand massage. So we go around and give them a bit of hand cream on their hands to also to look at their hands and think, to touch them and feel them with awareness and mindfulness. And then they say out loud one thing they're grateful for. And can I tell you, at first it was a bit like, oh, I'm not grateful for much. I'm here. I don't really want to be here in this aged care home. But it's through the practice of doing it and explaining why it's important, it's really changed a lot of the culture where I work at Nagel, and they realize how important it is to actually make ourselves to practice that. And so for, here, for example, it's drawing also on Brother David Steindl-Russ's work. It's not happiness that makes gratefulness, but gratefulness that actually makes happiness. So gratitude is the other hand of grief. It's the mature man and woman who welcomes both. To deny either reality is to slip into chronic depression or to live in denial and of the richness of life's difficult means. Together, they form a tension that makes tangible the exquisite richness of life in this moment. Life is hard and filled with suffering. Life is also a most precious gift, a reason for continual celebration and appreciation. To everything the old prophet said, there is a season, and this is the time for Thanksgiving, from Frances Weller, who writes very much about loss and grief. This is one of the participants. She had a stroke, hadn't been able to speak for 30 years, so she would write what she's grateful for and on her book, and I would read it out, which was very important. And here that's Shirley, one thing she would say, I'm grateful for living my life and for living here. And often when other people who don't feel maybe about being grateful about living in an aged care home, when they hear other people say that, it really is amazing in terms of the infectious nature of gratitude. Then sometimes another time later, they might say, look, I'm actually very grateful that I'm here and that I've got a hot meal and, a dry roof over my head. So I want to invite you, as you can either write in the chat or tell someone today what you're grateful for today. It's very important you say it out loud and make it public, because that actually really strengthens that sense of gratitude. And here's just finally a picture of the group just recently, just to give you a bit of a sense of it. And I'm sorry for going over time, and Jackie will talk to you a little bit more, but we just started a Facebook page as a closed group that about to support the facilitators of this practice in their work. So and Jackie will explain that. So thank you very much, and happy to answer questions if there's time. I've got no idea. So
Thank you, Beate. Thank you so much. It's always so great to listen to you talk about this. This is not my first time listening to you talk about this, and in fact reading the book, and I'm still enchanted by the little elephant story. It's still my favorite. And today I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for our kind people who stayed, even though we went into a slightly different time zone. I feel like we were all a bit out of kilter. Marnie's just popping in the chat Beate's website, and also our learning events page on our website, which indicates what's coming up. Marnie, I'll just get you to throw the slide up for me while we're looking at what's coming up in the immediate future. In a couple of weeks, we've got our first community of practice, which is a member-only event. If you work in a member organization, you are welcome to the community of practice. We're going to be talking about what's coming up in 2024 against the background of the Act, of the revised aged care quality standards, and just talking about some of the new resources that will be able to support you. We've got some online workshops in March. Of note, as Beate has mentioned, we've got 2 workshops with Beate. That is to say, it's the same workshop. You just have 2 options as to when to attend. There's one March 18, there's one Tuesday 19 of March. And that link that Marnie's put in the chat, the learning events page of the Meaningful Aging Australia website, is where you'll find all the information and registration. You're also able, of course, to see us on our socials, and you can call Marnie, in fact, in the office if you've got any concerns or any questions. We also have a new conversation series coming up. If you attended Liminal Space last year, you'll know that this is a lively way of us to explore a topic. This time round, it's going to be Kim Thode and myself, and we're talking about topics related to grief and trauma. The first one kicks off next month in the free webinar spot. So it's the 14th of March, Thursday, the 14th of March. All of these events, information is on the learning events page of the Meaningful Australia workshop. If there is anyone who has a question for Beate, we've come to the end, but we're always happy to pass on questions. Christine, lovely to see you here today. Christine is grateful for the simple truth of what you are doing and sharing. Thank you. Well, you make it easy, Christine, because having you around is just proof positive, right? It's a nice virtual cycle that we have going with our members. So that's lovely. Thank you. Well, it's been a bit of an effort, technologically speaking, but all good in the end. So thank you once more for taking the time. Thank you, Beate, for joining us. If you've been interested in today's topic, please go and find out more about the workshop, because I think it'll be right up your alley. Okay, a life-giving encounter today, says Eric. Thank you very much. That's all at Beate's feet, not ours, but a life-giving encounter. How's that? That's pretty nice. So thank you, everyone. There is the recording to look forward to as well. So if you know of anyone, remember this is a free webinar, all access, everyone can see it. So feel free to share it. All right. Thanks again.